Zombie apocalypse.
Now then, it's Ben Booth1 here, and we are back for another roster tactic video. And it's time, this time in our 7th video. So we're almost at the end of the legendary races, aren't we? It's time to suck it up and let's have a look at the vampires. What is a team what can be so great, but they are very, very tricky to use. Positioning wise has to be perfect with these guys, as well as obviously like a bit like in chess, I suppose, where you have to be 2-3 turns ahead if you can to get the best out of these guys. One of the biggest talking points regarding vampires is how many vampires do you start with? Just in case you don't know, the major problem with vampires is they have a thing called bloodlust. Well, basically, let's have a read here, shall we? Immediately after declaring an action with a vampire, roll a d6 on a 2+. The vampire can carry out his action as normal. However, on a 1, the vampire must feed on a thrall, that's a teammate, or a spectator at the end of the declared action. But before actually passing, handing off, or scoring, the vampire must feed. Choose a thrall to bite and make an injury roll on the thrall between any casual rolls. Failure to bite a thrall is a turnover and requires you to feed on spectator. Move the vampire to the reserves box. So basically, if you roll a 1, you have to bite one of these thralls before you can do anything. Like pass, blitz. You can move, but you can't blitz or pass until you bit one of these guys. If you don't bite one of these guys in the vampire's turn, then you're basically off the pitch for the drive, what is disastrous, and it costs a turnover. So you can have up to 6 vampires. The problem is, the more vampires you have, the more chances are that you're gonna fail your bloodlust, and also that means if you've got 6 vampires, that means you've only got 5 thralls. Yes, each vampire can bite the same thrall over and over again if he's still on the pitch and if he's stunned. But the problem is if they can get knocked out and then get injured, and all of a sudden you are low on thralls, and then in turn you're going to see your vampires go bye-bye as they jump into the crowd. So that's what I say. It's quite a challenging team, because obviously, you're just about to blitz and then you roll a 1, you're like, oh my god, do I reuse a reroll, or do I, bite a thrall and keep going on, or am I near a thrall if it goes wrong? There's so many things what can go wrong if your positioning is wrong, shall we say. But let's have a look at the rosters. Because like I say, I wouldn't say heated debate, but there's a lot of debate going on how many vampires you'd start with. Some are saying 2, some are even saying 1. And then you've got others who say 3, 4, and then even some crazy guys say, yeah, let's start with 5. Because the thing is, you want rerolls for vampires because of the bloodlust. The other option what people talk about is pro. Well, basically, it's a skill where you can re-roll a dice on a 4+. Now, I always think pros are a lot better for things like learners. For vampires, well, I think you've like for this build, for instance, I've already got 14 rerolls. So if my positioning is right, then I don't need pro. I've got my rerolls and I've got my positioning. I think if you're going to take pro, it's something you take later on. I think there's so many other skills the vamps need before pro. So if you're thinking about pro, my personal advice, if it was me, I wouldn't take pro until very late on in a build. I'd rather have 4 rerolls, 4 or 5 rerolls, and then pray that my positioning works. To be honest, because at the end of the day, pro, it's only going to work 50% of the time. So, it's not a guarantee that you're going to end up thinking. And don't forget, you've got to roll a 4+ to get to use your reroll, and then you still got to roll a 2+ to stop the bloodlust. And how many times have we seen it where when you've got when you've re-rolled a loner roll and you roll the 4+, you're like, yes, I can use the re-roll, and then roll a 1. So me personally, pro, no go on vamps unless it's late on. Right then. Anyway, that seems like a lot of talking before we've even talked about the first roster, isn't it? Let's get on with it. So, the first roster, and I think a lot of people like this roster. It's a bit of a good mix because you get 4 team rerolls, so instead of having 3, you have 4. You've got your Apothecary. Yeah, you do have regeneration, but it's always good to have a backup. So, you know, if it's something like Dead or something like Manus on Strength, you don't want to be relying on your regeneration. You want to be using your Apothecary. So you get your 3 vampires. That's a decent amount of vampires to start off with. They're great pieces. 6 movement, 4 strength, 4 agility, AV8 with regen and Hypnotic Gaze as well. It's just fantastic. And then obviously you've got 8 thralls. So there's plenty of thralls there to be feeded on by these 3 guards. The only issue really with thralls is they're only AV7. So they do break pretty well. So you really need to think. How can I put it? Get plenty of plays to fill the bench out because thralls will be getting smashed. They'll be getting hit by the opposition, and even your vampires are going to be trying to eat them. So you know, as much as it's probably tempting to get in the vampire after a few games, you might be better off getting a few thralls. To be fair. So that's a decent build. Like I say, it's a good all round build. I think that one is. The next build sees 4 vampires. I think this is the maximum amount of vampires you really need to go with. The good thing is with this build, you still keep your 4 rerolls. That's brilliant. You lose the Apothecary, so you are hoping that your regen saves you if anything bad happens to him. But again, you know, if you really want loads of vampires, you really want to, you know, go big on vamps. This is the build for you because you get your 4 vampires and you get, more importantly, you get to keep your 4 rerolls. The only problem is obviously you've only got 7 thralls. So like I say, it's a no-brainer. After a few games, you're looking for thralls and an Apothecary. But this is a powerhouse, power-packed roster. So yeah, 4 vamps on a pitch. It's going to cause plenty of people problems, especially the first few games at low TV. Right then, Sucker Up 3. This one has just 2 vamps. Just 2 vampires, that's all they've got. But look at this, 5 rerolls. So this is a long build. This is a build where you're like, you know what, I might lose a few early doors, but I'm going to keep playing this team, and they're going to build, and they're going to build, and I'm going to buy more vampires, and it's going to be fantastic. So yeah, you got your 5 rerolls. You've got your Apothecary as well, what you'd only use on 1 or 2 vampires if something bad happens to him. And then you got your 9 thralls. But now thralls feed 2 vamps, no problem. And like I say, having only 2 vamps, your chances of bloodlusting go down big time with only rolling 2 a turn. The problem with this build is you've only got 2 vamps. So they're going to get targeted, they're going to get stamped on, and everything. If there's any killers, they're going to go after them. But obviously at low TV, you're not going to get any killers against you, really. But a few of the so-called bigwigs on the PC, I don't know how true that is, go with this build. I personally wouldn't, because if I'm playing vamps, I need more than 2. I think having 4 rerolls and 3 or 4 vamps is a lot better than this build. But I just thought I'd put it on there because I know a lot of the experienced players like this build. And then finally, if you really, really want to go crazy, or you think, or you're just lucky, you can go for this. 5, that's right, 5 vampires. Woo! Look at all them vampires, 5 of them. Problem is, 5 vampires feed on 6 thralls ain't great. 3 rerolls. To be fair, 3 rerolls ain't too bad considering you've got 5 vampires on the roster. This is hardcore. Like I say, granted, you don't have to move every single vampire a turn, and if you don't move or do any action with vampire, he doesn't have to roll for bloodlust. But that's a lot of vampires. And although I can see me being suckered into playing with 5-6 vampires on my roster at the start, 3 rerolls. Don't forget, none of them have got block or anything early doors. These are only AB7 your thralls. I can see, although it looks great having 5 vampires in your team, I can see this being a very unforgiving roster. Every so often, you'll do great. You'll roll either any bloodlust, and these will kick ass. And there'll be times where all you'll keep doing is rolling ones. These will start getting smashed, these thralls. Or you'll be injuring them when you feed on them, and then it's just going to be a complete mess. So, yeah. So, that is the vampire rosters. Now, which one would I take if I was going vampires in the official Cyanide Champions Cup? Now, I must admit, I had this down to a couple. I had it down to the first two. The one with the three vamps, with the Apothecary with the 14 rerolls. I think that's pretty good. But, in the end, I thought I'd play a little bit dangerous, and I thought if it was me personally, I'd go with this one. Because I'm going to believe that regen will save these guys if they get hurt, and I don't care if my thralls get splattered because I'll just buy more. I still got my 14 rerolls. So it's up to you. They would be the two I would take. It just depends on yourself, personal preference. I just shaded this one slightly. There wasn't much in it. I just thought both vampires. Yeah, I like that. So this is the one I would just go with, but it's close between them two. Right then, so we've picked our rosters. How do we skill them up? That's basically the big thing, isn't it? The thing with vampires is you can skill them up so many different ways. It's just crazy. But we'll go through them as best we can and see how we go. Usually the first two skills you get on your vamps are block and dodge. Basically, best things. Sometimes you can go. Some people go block first, some people go dodge first. It's totally up to you how you want to go. The agility 4, so the dodging usually you're way on the 2+. So it's up to you. Dodge makes them basically move all over the place without burning a reroll, what can be quite important considering Bloodlust. So you may think, you know what, I'll go dodge first, because the last thing you want to be doing is burning rerolls, rolling ones for failed dodges. But block and dodge are the first two you want to get. This is a defensive build for the vampires. Sidestep keeps you next to your target. If they try and dodge away from you, diving tackle will give you a -2. And hopefully that'll work. And also tackle works in synergy with diving tackle. So basically, even when people have like 6 vampires on their roster, they don't always have 6 vampires on the pitch at the same time. This is the sort of guy you would definitely put on when you're defending. Have 2 of these guys for defensive duties would be fantastic. They are an absolute pain in the backside to shrug off. And obviously they're being strength 4 with blodge and sidestep. Yeah. These are fantastic pieces. This guy is basically there to get the ball loose. So instead of block, I'd go wrestle, strip ball, tackle. Obviously, after that, you could go frenzy. And also, we've got leap in there as well. Now, people might say, well, you got Hypnotic Gaze, Bernie. Why would you need leap? Well, Hypnotic Gaze doesn't always work. And if, let's have a look at let's see, just in case nobody knows what Hypnotic Gaze is, this is what it is. The player may use Hypnotic Gaze at the end of his move action on one adjacent opposing player, make an agility roll for the player with Hypnotic Gaze with a -1 modifier for each opposing tackle zone other than the victim's. If the agility roll is successful, then the opposing player loses his tackle zone. So basically, you could sit this guy next to a corner of a cage, and on a 2+, he's going to basically lose his tackle zone. And then you can just blitz in. But there's going to be times where he's going to go in, and there's going to be other people near the cage what will give you a mana. So you could be needing a 4-5+ for your Hypnotic Gaze to work. Where if you have leap, then you know for a fact it's a 3+ leap in, and it doesn't matter who's whereby. And with it being strength 4, the likelihood is you're gonna get 2 2 dice more times than not. Frenzy gives you 2 options on top of that as well. So I'm just seeing if it doesn't really say if you get the +1, so it actually might be a 3+ standard on Hypnotic Gaze, not a 2+, because usually when you dodge you get a +1 to dodge, don't you? So it's probably going to be 3+. So if that's the case, then Leap comes in a lot more handy then. So this guy basically is another guy you'd put on defense, where his job is to jump in there, get the ball, dodging on, leaping on a 3+, and then you've got to have 2 dice to wrestle, strip ball. I'd probably take Leap before Frenzy for definite. I think he's a really good piece. And another option again we're going with Blodge, and then we're going for Guard, because obviously we haven't been talking about Guard yet. Guard is so important. It's probably not so much on Strength 4 pieces, because they're obviously a lot stronger, but if you can get 1 or 2 pieces of Guard in there, it makes all the difference. Stand Firm as well is really good, and Diving Tackle. This guy can hit the corner of a cage. He stands right next to the ball carrier. He's got Blodge. He's got Stand Firm, so you can't push him away. The only way you get away from this guy is if you roll a POW, unless you got Tackle. Most of the time, it's going to be a 2-die red block, so you get to choose what they get. So bar a double red POW, you ain't going down. And if he tries to dodge away from you, you've got your Diving Tackle there as well. And obviously, if you can get one of your other vamps or get reinforcements there to help him out with assists and that, then this is going to cause so much trouble for your opponent. I mean, Amazons with Blodge and Stand Firm are a pain in the backside, and they're only Strength 3. This guy's Strength 4. Is a nightmare. So this is another nice build. Again, it's another defensive build. But the thing is, they're Agility 4, Strength 4, so they don't really need much skills to be a threat on offense. They're already blodgers. So you'll find out with a lot of vamps, you'll pick skills what will help them try and get the ball free, or cause the opponent to take risks. The next build is basically a kill build. Basically start with block. I haven't gone with dodge. I've gone straight from block to mighty blow, and then it's totally up to you what you take in the next 3 skills. Piling on obviously gives you 2 chances. Tackle means it's more effective against blodgers, and Frenzy gives you obviously 2 chances to knock the guy down. Knock your opponent down. So it's totally up to you which way you want to go with that. I see a lot of people go mighty blow, piling on, and then tackle, then Frenzy. Because obviously Frenzy you can go into a Frenzy trap as well with Frenzy. The only good thing with this is he's Strength 4, so it's more likely even in a Frenzy trap still get at least 1 dice. So I wouldn't go crazy with this build, but I'd probably try and get 1 of them, just to give me some beef. Try and get some removals. I always think with vampires, it's more about putting pressure on the opponent and control. They don't come across as a team to me where they do loads of casualties. Because I think the skills are better on defense, believe it or not. But that's just my opinion. This guy's more of a ball handler. You start off with Blodge, then you go show hands, it stops strip ball, because obviously, even though the Strength 4, strip balling, war dance and all that still could be a pain in the backside. And then show feet and sprint. So basically, this guy's just a no frills. I'm going to pick the ball up and I'm just going to run. And obviously, having show feet means doing JFRs makes it a lot safer. And obviously, having sprint makes he's got a movement of the maximum of 9. And with show feet in there, it's fantastic. So, this basically, he just runs the ball. That's his job. So this guy you would put on offense. You probably, if he's going to drop a vampire on defense, this was probably the guy you'd drop. And finally, this one. Right, this basically is a vampire who goes hunting for helpless victims on the side, trying to push them into the crowd. As you've noticed, I haven't gone with block as my first skill. I've gone with Juggernaut, followed by Frenzy, and then Leap. I take the block skill, the 4th level up, and that is solely for protection. You could go dodge instead if you wish, and then later on, sidestep's another option. Because obviously, what you got to be careful is obviously if you surf a player, you do not want to be counter surfed. So some people might turn and say, no, Benny, I'm not taking block, I'm taking stand firm instead, or I'm taking sidestep. I don't need block, I've got Juggernaut. I think it's a waste having both. He is strength 4, so he's going to be harder to knock down anyway. It's up to you. But this guy's built to push people out. This is probably one of the few builds you could go with Pro as well instead. So you could go Juggernaut, you could go Frenzy, you could go Leap, then maybe Pro. So, you blitz, you get 2 dice, and it's a power and a dodge power, and think, crikey, I just want to push him. Let's try the Pro. Let's see if that'll get me there. Because you don't want to be wasting a reroll, because obviously you need them for Bloodlust and stuff like that. So Pro would be another skill you could put in this build, for definite. So, like I said, it's all about control. In my opinion, anyway, the way I read about vampires, it's all about control. It's not about clearing loads of players off the pitch, because I just don't think you can build them that way. If you go too heavy with Mighty Blow and Pile On and all that, it just makes them unbalanced. I don't think that's where the strength lies. I really don't. People might think, well, Bernie, why have you done a passing vampire? I just think they're a waste, and they are so high TV. You need so many doubles. I just think they're a waste of time. And you're not very fast anyway. You're only movement 6. So what you're gonna do? You're gonna send loads of vampires up into the opposition's territory by themselves. That's just a recipe for disaster. Thralls, you don't really want to spend loads of thralls up there, because you might need to bite on them. Might need to feed on them. They're no good to you if you're in your own half and all the thralls are back in there looking for a pass. What you can't give them to, because guess what? You're going to go and you need to eat somebody and there's no one there. Because players aren't stupid. You send 3 thralls up there and say you've only got 3 thralls in your area. They'll make sure the opponent will target them thralls, try and take them off the pitch, or at least mark them up. So it's it's a bit more awkward. So to me, passing is a big no-no. Right then, let's go on to your thralls then. There's a few simple builds. This build, there's 2 ways to build them: block and fend, or wrestle and fend. I think they are definitely your main 2 options, because you want to keep distance from the opponent. The opponent's going to be trying to wreck these thralls. They're only AV7, strength 3. You don't want to be getting up and trying to dodge, because if you fail your dodge, there's a very good chance of you injuring yourself. So having fend means you can get up and then position to wherever you want to be. You do not want to keep these in contact with your opponent unless there's a reason for it. The only way you want these in contact with your opponent is on your terms, not on their terms. If you need them to mark somebody up, fine. Otherwise, you want these guys well away from hitting distance. You do not want to be giving free blocks with thralls, because these are the guys what keep your vamps on the pitch. So wrestle, I would definitely take wrestle on the front line. So for your line and scrimmage, your three guys who go on that line, give them wrestle and fend, definitely. The rest of them I would probably give block and fend, because obviously you want them to be hitting, don't you? You want them getting down there. And you want to be trying to hopefully get some lucky injuries or removals. Another slight tweak to it as well. That there's no reason why you can't do a ball sacker. Give him wrestle, and then instead of fend, you can go tackle, strip ball, and dauntless. Any of them 4 in the combination, you can make yourself a decent little thrall ball sacker there. And for 120 TV, that's not a bad value. The problem obviously with this is, with it being only AV7, he might not. It's quite hard to keep them alive. But there is another option. While people are too busy worried about your vampires, all these great defensive skills, this guy can go in there and get it done as well. And don't forget, the great thing with this guy is, if your vampire hypnotizes out of a cage, this guy can just go blitzing and walking in, can't he, and trying to get the ball carried down. So again, this guy is much more useful in a vampire setup than he would be in other races. So, you know, having at least one of these guys, if you can get him, would be fantastic. Even with just wrestle and tackle or wrestle strip ball, this guy is very, very useful. This is another standard build. If you roll a double, get guard. Simple as. Guard, guard, guard. If you get as many of these guards with guard as possible, will help you big time. Not only makes it obviously going to give assists with guard, it also makes your opponent have a tougher time trying to hurt these guys. It protects them. It helps the vampires out as well. Oh, it's just fantastic. Guard, to me, if you roll a double, everyone should be getting this. If you don't want guard, and you think, you know what, I've got plenty of guard, don't need anything else, then Mighty Blow is the other option. Because obviously Mighty Blow after block is fantastic, because obviously it's another way of trying to get cheap removals. The problem is you'll be doing most of your blitzing with vampires. So where guard, that's why I like guard, it's more useful for this team. Mighty Blow means basically either going to have to blitz with the guy, or you're going to be right next to him. What we try not to do in the first place, if possible. If you roll another double, by all means, you can get piling on. I'm not a big fan of this build at all, but I'm just showing you can do it if you wish. And there's just another alternative. Mighty Blow. You roll double, get Mighty Blow, and then obviously for a standard, you can go Frenzy. So again, it puts more threat on the side. I think this is a better build than the Mighty Blow piling on one, because obviously one is cheaper because you need the one double, and two, at least it's threatening. If they go down one flank, that guys like this can do it. And again, this is where Hypnotic Gaze comes in, because if you know your vampire can Hypnotic Gaze the one of the guards protecting down the side cage, and this guy can go through and blitz one of your opponent's players off the pitch, and then if he gets counter saved, it's not as bad. I'd rather lose a thrall than a vamp. This is another one where it's two doubles. So instead of going for guard, you think, you know what, I want to protect my thralls. I don't want them dying on me, so I'll take dodge. So it becomes blodge. And then if you're really lucky and you get another double, then you can either go guard, like I have here, or stand firm. Or even sidestep if you want. I'd probably go stand firm, and it keeps them in position. But again, you're asking a lot to give. You're basically rolling 3 level ups, and 2 of them are going to be doubles. But again, blodge, yes, it does protect them, but don't forget, there's a good chance your vamps might have to feed on this guy. So blodge ain't going to save him then. 120 TV, not so bad. I'd rather go block, guard, and then something else. Maybe fend. You know, on a normal skill or tackle or something. And there you go. I just talked about it. There you go. If you get 2 doubles, that's the other option you can do. Dodge and stand firm. They are an absolute pain in the backside to get rid of. But you got your standard dirty player. Why not? The only thing about the problem with these guys having dirty player is it's only 60 TV, so that's fantastic value for a dirty player. Hell yeah. The problem is you can't, unless you've got a decent deep bench, you can't really afford for these guys to go off the pitch, because it's the vampire's food, isn't it? You know, if you start getting these sent off, then you're like, we're running out of snacks. Talk about takeaway. So again, I suppose it depends on the vamp. If you've got 3-4 vamps on, and you've got another 5 thralls or something, then it's not so bad. But yeah, dirty players are great. They're only 60 TV, so I certainly won't put anyone past them. I just wouldn't go crazy with them. I'd probably have the 1, and that's it, because you don't want these guys getting sent off all the time. Because unfortunately, you are going to lose some through injury, through knockouts, because they've only AV7, and then you're going to lose more when your vampires feed on them. I'm afraid. Right, the next one, again, very standard block and kick. Again, with kick, it's always good to have 1 thrall with them on. Just basically for the thing with vampires is you can kick short and just attack straight away, or if you really want to, you can bang it long, and obviously then charge of the pitch. But bear in mind, you're only movement 6 all around, So sometimes it might be best to try and kick short to one side or the other, because obviously they will not be able to bring their full numbers to bear protecting that ball carrier. And then with the likes of Hypnotic Gaze and with the skills you've got, you can quickly take the ball off them and take it to your side of the pitch and keep it nice and safe. So that is obviously another option you can do. See, and I think that's it really. So like I say, vampires really are a fantastic team. A lot of hard work, a lot of good. You need to know positioning. You've got to try and think ahead if you can, and then obviously from there, it's all a case of basically praying you don't roll loads of ones. And then that's basically it. So that is basically it, really. Always think ahead with this team. Try and think what you're going to do. Make sure there's thralls nearby so you can actually bite them, so your vampires don't get sent off. And that's basically it. So thanks for watching. It was a bit of a quick video. It felt like a quick video, and we will see you for the final legendary video, what will be Amazons. So like I say, feel free to subscribe, and that will keep you up to date with all my videos I'll be releasing. After the Amazons, we'll be looking at probably orcs after that. So there we go. Thanks for listening. Like I said, any ideas or any other builds you can think of, feel free to put them in the comments, or any questions, feel free to put them in there as well, and obviously I'll get back and answer them as best I can. And thanks very much. Take care, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Remembering myself, take me right back to the start.